A few weeks ago, Sir Ian McKellen, who's played some of the most iconic characters in film over the past several decades, came out and said something that made waves in Hollywood. As someone who's an actor, as someone who pretends for a living, he came out and he said, you know what? I don't think there's any reason why we, as actors, should be pigeonholed into something simply because of our sexuality or simply because of our religion. And although most normal people agree with that, a lot of people in Hollywood had a problem with it. And now someone else is coming out and saying the exact same thing. It's going to be interesting to see if he gets any pushback or blowback for this. Andrew Garfield says straight actors should be allowed to portray gay characters. That's exactly what Ian McKellen said, and that's likely the reason that he was asked this question. When Sir Ian McKellen was asked about this specifically, it had nothing to do with gay characters and straight characters. It actually had to do with the casting of Helen Mirren as a Jewish person, even though Helen Mirren was not Jewish. And Ian McKellen came out and he said, is it an argument that a Gentile cannot play a Jew? And is the argument therefore that a Jew cannot play a Gentile? Is the argument that a straight man cannot play a gay man? And if so, does this mean I can't play straight parts and I'm not allowed to explore the fascinating subject of heterosexuality in Macbeth? Surely not. We're acting. And he's making a great point, because by flipping it around like that, what he's essentially saying is if you're going to tell people that only gay actors can play gay roles, then aren't you saying that only straight characters can play straight roles? And do you really want to back yourself into that kind of corner? Well, again, Andrew Garfield came out with a similar statement. Let's dive into this. Andrew Garfield weighs in on Hollywood casting practices, warns about the death of imagination. Spider-Man No Way Home and Hacksaw Ridge actor Andrew Garfield recently weighed in on Hollywood's current casting practices and discussions surrounding whether or not certain actors can play certain characters. And I think, again, all normal people will understand this. There'll be a couple people that say, well, doesn't that mean that you can cast a black person to play George Washington, or that you should cast a white person to play Black Panther? No, that's not what that means. Obviously, certain roles call for people with certain physical attributes, whether that be their height, whether that be their build, whether that be their hair color, their skin color, whatever it may be. We know that to be the case in Hollywood. We're specifically talking about this recent burst of activism that has been, well, no, only a trans person can play that. No, only a gay person is allowed to play this character. And we've seen that with so many of these activists. But it's encouraging to see people who likely are on the left, just maybe not on the far activist left, come out and say something that normal people actually agree with. Speaking with The Telegraph about his latest film on Netflix, Tick, Tick, Boom, Garfield was asked about Hollywood casting practices and whether or not straight actors could play gay characters. Garfield responded, I think it's two different conversations getting conflated. One's about equality of opportunity, and I'm completely in on that, because we should want a world where no matter your sexual orientation, your color, or your heritage, everyone gets a fair whack. And yeah, literally everyone in the world agrees with that. That's not even something that needs to be strived for at this point, I don't think, in 99.999% of cases. That's something that exists and has existed for quite some time. But the other is about empathic imagination. And if we only allow people to be cast as exactly who they are, it'll be the death of it. And that's exactly what so many of us have been saying. If you are playing, say, a wizard, let's go back to Ian McKellen. He's not a wizard, is he? There's even a YouTube video out there, I think with Ian McKellen and Ricky Gervais, where he's joking about that, about not actually being a wizard, but he's acting.
How do I act so well? What I do is I pretend to be the person I'm portraying in the film or play. Yeah. Lord of the Rings. Little Peter Jackson comes from New Zealand, says to me, Sir Ian, I want you to be Gandalf the wizard. And I say to him, you are aware that I am not really a wizard. What I want you to do is to use your acting skills to portray the wizard for the duration of the film. And this is what I did. I imagined what it would be like to be a wizard, and then I pretended and acted in that way on the day. Yeah. And how did I know what to say? The words were written down for me in a script.
And yeah, you're not gonna find any wizards out there. If you're talking about, oh, well, this person's history is he actually grew up in Mississippi to a single parent, and he was in a car accident when he was 16, and now he has a limp. You know what? You might not find any actors that are exactly that thing. That's what we're talking about. That's the ridiculous nature that we're talking about in some of these cases. That's the standard that people want to hold. Garfield then added, so the two separate conversations have to happen simultaneously because I'm not willing to support the death of empathic imagination. It's what we need most as a culture, and it's beautiful. It's the only thing that's going to save us right now. Garfield's comments are similar to the comments made by Ian McKellen, just like we talked about before. And this goes through exactly what I said. We're acting, we're pretending. Both actors make valid points, however, the discussion is a bit more complex than both make it out. Actors should be cast to match up to how their characters have been previously portrayed in the source material that is being adapted, or how the historical figure looked in real life. And that is the great point, because you want an actor to be able to portray that person. Like I said, there is no reason that I should ever be cast to play T'Challa. That makes absolutely zero sense. It makes zero sense whatsoever. And I'm sure there's plenty of black actors out there who wouldn't be good T'Challas either, because you know why? Maybe some of them can't portray someone regal enough to be T'Challa, right? You want believability. So not only do they have to have the look, they have to have the feel, but they have to have the capability to pretend to be that person and embody that person. That's what it's all about. That's why someone being gay or straight doesn't necessarily matter. Can they pull off this character? That's what people care about. And so to hear Andrew Garfield and to hear, Ian McKellen again come out and say stuff like this, that's the stuff that needs to happen, because when people like that speak out, people who don't consider themselves on the right or conservative in any way, shape, or form, then people are forced to listen to it in the Hollywood space, and it probably emboldens a lot more people to speak out. Likely the reason that Andrew Garfield is saying this right now, it's probably because Ian McKellen said it a few weeks ago. And since Ian McKellen said it so loud, I'm sure Andrew Garfield felt much more comfortable coming out and basically echoing those statements. Now, there's going to be a lot of people who don't believe that. There's a lot of gay actors who have come out and said, I don't agree with that. Only gay people should be playing gays, yet they have no problem taking straight roles. It's interesting how that works, isn't it? But I love Andrew Garfield coming out and saying this, essentially saying if we stop this, then there will be no more imagination in Hollywood. Actors won't even be actors. There's no reason to do anything like that anymore, because at that point they won't be acting. What do you guys think about Andrew Garfield's comments? I think woke Hollywood, the people who are very much in the activist corner, are going to have a huge problem with this. A massive problem with this, just like they did with Ian McKellen. Let me know in the comments below. Smash a like button, subscribe to the channel, ring the bell for notifications, share this video out there, and I'll talk to you later. Thanks for watching, everyone, and a huge shout out to my patrons. I appreciate you guys so much. Want to follow me on Twitter or Instagram? Check out the description below. You'll find links to my P.O. box and my Patreon as well. And I'll talk to you guys later.